Shaved with butter, too. Good afternoon, everyone. This Tuesday, August 1st, 2023 meeting of the City Council is now called to order. Ms. Vermillion, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Beck.
Here.
Councilors Windland is on Zoom.
And
Councilor Verdick.
Here.
Councilor Afghan. I'm sorry, Councilor Raff.
Here.
Councilor Corrigan.
Here.
And we have Councilors Maboop and Afghan who are excused.
All right. Thanks, Ms. Vermillion. Everyone, will you now please stand, remove your hats, and join us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, just a couple notes to the agenda before we start. Last meeting, we had voted to bring public hearings on our psilocybin time, place, and manner regulations back at this meeting, but I've decided to postpone that enactment of those ordinances until later in the fall. We're doing that for two reasons. One, to have the full council back in attendance, and to also do research and hold a study session in mid-October so we can have a clearer understanding of the issues and implications on that topic before us. So our draft schedule is posted to the website each Friday, and folks may reach out to the city recorder, Carrie Linder, if they have questions on the agenda. I'm also going to, I know some of you are here for public comment. Councilor Verdick has just a short time with us here tonight, and I want to get through the agenda first, our business agenda. So I'm going to, and we have a short meeting, and do not worry, we'll not be here long, but I'm going to move public comment until the council business and the public hearing. So we're going to move first to the consent agenda. On the consent agenda tonight is item 5.1, which is a public improvement contract for the construction of the annual water rehabilitation project. Item 5.2, which awards a public improvement contract for the construction of the Boca Ratan pathway project. And item 5.3, which is approval of meeting minutes from June 6, 20, and 27. Is there a motion to adopt
Move to adopt the consent agenda.
A second.
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Councilor Windland, do you vote aye?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, that motion passes 5-0. All right, and now moving on to council business. First item is 7.1. This is resolution 23-34, a resolution of the City Council designating Lake Oswego as B City USA, authorizing the Parks and Recreation Department as a sponsor, the Parks Manager as liaison, and the Parks Board as program facilitator. Here to present to us is Associate Planner Ellen Davis and Parks Manager Megan Bigjohn. Welcome to you both. Good afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon, counselors. My name is Ellen Davis. I'm a planner in our planning department.
And I'm Megan Bigjohn. I'm a Parks Manager for Parks and Recreation.
And we're really excited to join you today. We are representing a group of our city staff from different departments all across the city. And we're all working together to try to make Lake Oswego a Bee City USA. So Bee City USA has a mission to sustain pollinators, which are responsible for reproduction of almost 90% of the world's flowering plant species, by providing healthy habitats rich in native plants and free to nearly free of pesticides. And our urban forest is very important for this habitat, especially supporting our local pollinators here in Oregon, which we have nearly 500 species of bees just in our state alone. Some of the benefits of being a bee city is that it'll help raise our community awareness. It'll help to increase our pollinator species and their survival rates. And it'll bring the community together around a positive shared cause and help us connect with other cities and institutions all over this country. Bees do help improve our local food production like we have over at Lesher Farm, and it raises our community awareness of how our food grows. And we can also help to address our pest problems with fewer pesticides. And there are already a whole bunch of bee cities here in Oregon. So we're hoping that Lake Oswego can join this list and that we can be yet another Bee City USA working towards this same goal.
So to be a part of the BCD program, there's some commitments that the city has to agree to. And what you will see is there's quite a few of them that we are already doing as staff and already just implementing here. So it really seems like a great fit for our city. One is to create an enhanced pollinator habitat on public and private land by increasing the abundance of native plantings and providing nesting sites. So we've had quite a great few projects that we've been doing long-term, which part of that is our restoration of our natural areas. We've got 460 acres of parkland that are natural, and we're at 375 acres of that restoration, which includes planting native species and removing invasives. The parks, developed parks staff have been working on adding pollinators into their landscapes. They've been really invigorated by that and having a lot of fun with it, so that's been something we're just ongoing and doing with greater intention now. Just recently at Iron Mountain Park, we moved the Campbell Native Garden into the new parkland area and created a pollinator garden that was created by our staff, our natural area staff, and we just received our Platinum Backyard Habitat Program certification for that garden, which we're super proud of. And then this year as well at Lesher Farm, the Children's Garden added a pollinator section in there and had a dedication this year as well. So it's been quite a fun year with bees. Second commitment we have is to reduce our use of pesticides, which we are doing as well. We have an established integrative pest program and following those practices. And it's taking all of those 3 items below, which integrative pest management program is taking the cultural, mechanical, biological, as well as chemical use of managing our public lands. So a couple examples of what we're doing right now is mulching, soil to help reduce weed pressure and help moisture retention. Planting areas that are bare, we're starting to increase that, so less weed pressure as well. And the picture you see there is at Foothills Park that we're working on Leave the Leaves program. We're doing demonstration sites within our parkland to be able to provide as mulch as one, also provides habitat for insects, which is what the Xerces Society is promoting as well. So we can't do it everywhere, but we're doing some demonstration sites to try to encourage homeowners to do the same. Incorporate pollinator conscious practices into city policies and plans. Well, today we're here asking for you to adopt this resolution, our park integrated pest management plan, like I mentioned, and maybe in the future or the comprehensive plan. But currently, when we're actually starting our Parks 2040 plan right now, we will be incorporating the Bee City practices into that plan currently. So that'll be coming up that Kira's working on behind me. Now here's the fun part. It's spreading the awareness and hosting pollinator awareness events, and tied in with not only Bee City, Tree City USA, as well as our urban forestry, community forestry program that we do all year long to celebrate trees. We've already incorporated quite a few pollinator activities. There's been workshops at Lesher Farm. We've had landscaping for pollinators partnering with OSU Extension Service over at Iron Mountain. And then our stewardship work parties are always promoting native plants and pollinator habitat. And there was over 400 kids that came on tour, elementary school kids that came to tours at Lesher Farm and learned about pollinator habitat as well. And then the picture that you see up in the top is Ranger Ben leading a pollinator celebration parade at the event that we had. It was his first year to have the pollinator celebration, and I know it'll continue. It was a lot of fun. The YouTube on the right there is actually our Caleb. He works in our natural areas, and last year he created a bumblebee box demonstration, how you can build a bumblebee box in your backyard, and our staff is really enjoying that type of outreach, and so we're gonna continue on with that. It's not only good for the community, but it's also great for our staff too. So the next steps, we need to establish a Bee City USA committee, and due to our boards and commissions policies, the Parks and Recreation Natural Resource Advisory Board accepted that duty to be our overall committee. We'll need to publicly acknowledge Bee City USA with signage, which you'll see the sign up on the right, except for it will say the City of Lake Oswego. Pay the initial fee application, which is $300 per year based on our per capita, and then the renewal fee. And then provide a renewal and report each year, which is just a really great way to showcase the work that we've done. It's not labor intensive, and it's just really something we'll be able to share with the community. And that renewal will come around in February. So when you look at the list of commitments, the ones with the checks are really the heavy lifting ones. So the ones that take staff time, they take some planning, and we're already doing a lot of those. So the things that we need to finish up is the ones without the checks, the publicity information of getting our Bee City signs up, incorporating it more into our policies and plans, and then do the renewal with the report at the end of the year. I wanted to showcase a couple pictures of what we are working on, what just was finished. The top picture is behind Foothills, behind the stage. Jeff Williamson, who takes care of that park, kind of invigorate that landscape with native species and other pollinators. We're hoping to do a BioBlitz next summer where the citizens can go out and help us monitor, help actually nationally monitor what bees they see. They just take a picture of the bee, upload it to the site, and then there's data collected from that, which will be so much fun. And then below is a section at Westlake Park where it's going to, Michelle is propping that right now to put pollinator plantings on a landscape that was just kind of tired and needed to kind of be transitioned out. So we're taking those opportunities where we can. So, wanting to know if you have any questions and if you guys would accept our resolution to want to be part of a bee city for Lake Oswego.
Thank you both very much. Great presentation. The garden, the pollinator garden at Iron Mountain looks fantastic, and that's been great work with designating the Campbell name to that garden as well. I know it's very significant. And I'd like to give special recognition to Stephanie Wagner, who's here with us today, who brought this idea forward and pestered me and City Manager Bennett until we agreed to move ahead with this Bee City designation. I think it highlights a lot of what the community is already doing and will provide us tools to continue doing it even better and different outreach and recognition. And I think it's fantastic. Does anyone have any questions? Program? Councilor Corrigan?
Well, I want to say I'm really glad it's fun because it's really important. Pollination is about food too. So thank you for bringing the fun to the subject. It is really easy to overlook, but it really matters. So thank you so much.
Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 23-34?
I move to adopt Resolution 2334.
Second.
And I'm sorry, Councilor Winding, did you have any questions or comments?
No, I'm just buzzing along with enthusiasm.
All right.
Is there-
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Davis. Thank you, Ms. Big John. Appreciate it. Thank you, Stephanie. All right, next on the agenda is Work Order 305. This is an amendment to the public improvement construction contract for the Lake Oswego Recreation and Aquatic Center. Joining us is the project manager, Mr. Powers. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for allowing me to speak with you. I'm sorry I don't have any cool headwear, but my name is Bruce Powers. I'm the project manager for Parks and Rec for the Lake Oswego Recreation and Aquatic Center project. And I'd like to give you a brief update on where we're at. I think we're ready to go here, correct? This is the, when we mobilized in February, this is what the site looked like. Nothing but equipment out there. And then in March, we started doing demo work, tree removal, stump removal. April, you can see that we're starting to do mass excavation of soil, getting ready to start building the pad. In May, they started bringing in rock to get the pad prepped. And then you can see in June, the form of the buildings are starting to come together. And this one shows you a little better how buildings B and C foundations are going in. And up at the top, you can see where the pool's beginning to be dug for the natatorium. And then here, the pool is pretty much done. The big pool's completed as far as the dig, and they've started on the smaller recreation pool. And this is pretty much where we are today. This foundations, as you can see, are in. They're preparing the big slab pour for buildings B and C, so they're putting steel in. And hopefully we'll have that pour in the next week or two. Just as far as the schedule goes, So this summer, we'll be doing utilities, the temporary pedestrian pathway on Stafford, pool excavation will continue, and then concrete footings will continue. This fall, we'll be doing the Stafford Road right-of-way improvements. Pool concrete will hopefully be poured and the concrete foundations completed. This coming winter in 2024, metal building erection for the natatorium will begin. Electrical, HVAC, fire and plumbing, and drywall. In the spring of 2024, we'll start roofing, storefront windows, interior finishes, and then in next summer, doors and hardware, interior signage, interior furnishings and equipment. And then in the fall, we'll hopefully finish up with landscaping and planting, exterior furnishings and exterior signage. And I did want to bring to your attention some traffic impacts that we're going to be experiencing from on Stafford Road, from Burgess Road to Rosemont Road. Public improvements on Stafford Road will begin August 8th and run through the 24th for the temporary pedestrian pathway construction, which we need to build because we'll have to close down the one on the other side of the road. August 23rd through September 1st will be the public water line relocation. We have to move a water line that runs out of Overlook onto Stafford. And that unfortunately has to be pretty much in the middle of the road. So there will be Stafford Road lane closures beginning August 8th. So August 8th through September 1st, one lane closed from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., Monday through Friday, and then option of doing weekend work, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Any work after September 2nd will be moved to one lane closed from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. to help mitigate the amount of traffic that will be going there due to the schools. I've been working with the engineering folks on this, and we hope we have a good plan that works. We are going to monitor this daily for the first few days, and in the event that we have such bad backups that we can't really function as a city, where we'll look at perhaps working night from, I think it was, I don't remember the times. I don't know if we ever talked about times, but evening work, probably till 11 or midnight or something like that. We'll look at that. The main reason I'm here today is to discuss the additional costs that we have reached in this project. Contractors requesting 10 additional contract amendments as a result of several things, including the plan review comments that arose during the permitting process, equipment changes resulting from long lead materials, infrastructure and other project elements being moved from the municipal golf course renovation project into the LORAC project scope. An additional project scope added at the request of the Parks Department, and unforeseen issues that have arisen during the course of construction, which is pretty typical of something of this complexity. So what we are asking for is for you to allow the city manager to sign these amendments 3 through 12. The total amendment change is $1,884,080.23. About $626,000 of that is coming from the golf course moving over to the LORAC. So that's $574,000 is separately budgeted for the golf course maintenance facility, and $51,000 will come from the golf course renovation budget for the sewer line installation, which the Triplet Wellman Group installed. So the total impact to the LORAC budget will be about a little over $1.2 million. There are adequate funds allocated in the LORAC project budget, including project contingency, to absorb these amendments. So we're asking that you will authorize the city manager to sign amendments 3 through 12. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Powers.
You're welcome.
Councilor Rath.
So I understand the $574,662.08 amendment 4 and 5 sounds to me it's purely just a accounting change? It's going from one side of the project to the LORAC?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's separately budgeted
So it's not
from the
it's not an
LORAC,
incremental increase in cost, it's just moving from one budget to the other?
pretty much, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You tell us a little bit about the water main. What are we doing there? Just,
Well, when the original plans were done by the engineer, the water line ran underneath some infrastructure that our engineering team said, that we just can't accept that. There's trees over the tops of them and, various things that would impact that 4-inch, I think it's 4-inch water line. And they've asked us to move it. And so we've had to absorb that into our project. Pretty substantial numbers in the 400,000s. But we need to do it in order to move forward.
I see. Okay. Counselor Winland, questions?
Nope, I'm good. I reviewed it. It's unfortunate reality of construction projects. So,
Okay.
but I support it.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Powers? Oh, yes, please, Counselor Rath.
And then I can make a motion if you're
Okay.
cool with it. I understand, so fall of '24, you're planting, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Which means, I went up to the site a couple weeks ago, by the way, magnificent work, and the fact that the team has come this far on that project this quickly is pretty impressive, and if anybody goes up there, it's gonna be very nice facility for everybody. How long until I can hit balls at the driving range?
If you
Obviously,
sneak,
that's hopefully before the course opens, but
if you sneak in this summer, we're going to be ready to go, but we're not going to open the golf course until.
don't put that on the record.
Don't put that. No, we'll be opening that as soon as we open the LORAC. It's pretty much done. We're still waiting on permits for that to put the poles in for the driving range and the netting. We've got some structural calculations that had to go in, and we're just waiting to get a few things buttoned up there, as well as some planning review items. So we're hoping for those guys to be out of there by this fall completely, and just let the grass and the water take care of things.
All right, well, let's make sure that planning commission goes through fast. My swing is suffering. Okay, I'd like to make a motion.
Please.
Sorry, where is it here? Sorry, guys. I had it right here. Oh, thank you. I'd like to move to authorize the city manager to sign amendments 3 through 12 to the public improvement construction contract with Triplet Wellman Contractors for construction of the Lake Oswego LORAC for an amount totaling $1,884,080.23.
Second?
All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Powers.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
You all doing good work out there.
Thank you.
Okay, next, we are going to move to our one public hearing tonight. This is Resolution 23-31. It's a resolution of the City Council acting as the Lake Oswego Public Contracting Review Board pursuant to ORS 279A.060, making certain findings and approving a special procurement for Pacific Power Group generator lift station maintenance contract and authorizing the city manager to execute the contract. City Manager Osenak will start by reading the hearing procedures for us.
Now is the time set for a public hearing on Resolution 2331 as described by the mayor. This is a public contracting policy decision, so it is within the discretion of City Council. But although that decision is discretionary, it must also comply with the state's procurement requirements, which are set forth in ORS 279B.085 and OAR 137-047-0285. And those state requirements are further set forth in the staff report. The public hearing process will begin with a presentation from staff. Testimony will then be received from the public. Individuals will be allowed up to 5 minutes. Recognized neighborhood associations, homeowner associations, government agencies, or other incorporated public interest organizations will be allowed up to 10 minutes. The time limits will not include time taken up by questions from the commission, from the council, or no, actually commission, or responses to such questions. I need to ask at this point if any of you, you're sitting as the commission, have any conflicts of interest. Ex parte contacts and site visits don't need to be declared, just if you have any conflicts of interest in this matter.
No.
Seeing none, we're ready for the staff report.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Councilors. I'm Erica Rooney, Public Works Director. With me this afternoon is our Deputy Public Works Director, Edward Van Buren. This is his first time in front of you all, if you haven't met him before. He is the manager over our entire maintenance section of the Public Works Department. And he's here today to talk, or to give you the details for this public hearing regarding some contracting rules and regulations that we must follow. So I'm just going to turn it over to Edward to give you a quick overview of why we need this work to be done and why we're procuring in this manner. Edward.
Yes, thank you very much for your time today. It's good to meet all of you from this distance. I don't have any slides for you, so I'll be about 3 minutes of your time. So I'm present today to request your adoption of Resolution 23-31 for a special procurement contract with the Pacific Power Group for the maintenance and repair services of our critical generator systems throughout the city of Lake Oswego. So this contract is essential to support the resilient daily operations as well as our emergency preparedness of the city, particularly concerning City Hall, our 911 center, as well as our fire station operations, our wastewater collection, and our water treatment and distribution. So a couple of key points about our system, just for your edification. The city currently possesses 13 portable generators that can be deployed throughout the city that support water intake, treatment, distribution via our pump stations, as well as our wastewater collections via lift and pump stations. We have 20 non-portable generators that support City Hall, as I mentioned, our 4 fire stations, the library, adult community center, maintenance center, as well as our water treatment plant. Our ability to respond effectively during any type of emergency situations, whether it's natural disaster or whether it is a public safety incident, really relies heavily on our functional readiness of our generator system, bottom line. The Pacific Power Group in particular has been under contract in this capacity since 2019. Our relationship goes back actually to 2009, so they're very familiar with our system. PPG is well versed in our geography, our facilities, as well as our residents. It really allows them to deliver services that are tailored to the geography and the layout of our city. So given these factors, we believe that continuing our partnership with the Pacific Power Group is the best course of action to ensure the reliability and effectiveness of our generator system. And by entering into a special procurement contract with PPG, we really can benefit from their specialized expertise in this subject matter. They can maintain our continuity of service that we've had over this period of time. And so that's what we're here to ask for today. So I thank you for your attention to this matter. Your adoption of Resolution 23-31 would contribute significantly to the safety, preparedness, resilience, and well-being of our community. So again, thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, we're ready to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Van Buren. You did a great job outlining everything in the staff report. I can't believe that you've never been before us before. I see your name on all sorts of things.
Yes.
And since you have not been before us before, I just want to thank you and your team. You're really responsible for so much of the behind-the-scenes work, controlling the underbelly of the city, and that work is very important. I know goes unnoticed in the day-to-day, but we value everything you and your team do. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Does anyone have any questions? Mr. Van Buren, Director Werner, Councilor Wendland, any questions?
Yeah, from the standpoint of I know it's a maintenance contract, but have prices increased a lot from the 2019 contract, or is it fairly static?
Prices have increased due to logistical issues across the board within maintenance operations, but this contract in particular is actually fairly low for the general maintenance. I think it's around 20, I can find out the specifics, around $25,000 for general maintenance, and then any unforeseen issues with repair or anything like that. But no, we haven't seen a significant increase since 2019.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Wendland. All right, with that, I'm going to open the public hearing, and I'll ask if there's anyone here who'd like to testify on, did we have anyone sign up to testify on this matter? Anyone? Okay. Seeing no one, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing, and we'll entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 23-31.
I move to adopt Resolution 23-31.
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Rooney. Deputy Director Van Buren. Appreciate you both. Okay. I think we can do it. Next, we're going to have a review of the 2023 community survey, and we'll invite Ms. Madison Thiesing to come forward and give us an overview of the survey policy questions. Good afternoon.
Hello.
We have no more than 10 minutes.
And I do not have a PowerPoint either.
That's okay.
So thank you, counselors, for having me this afternoon. I will be briefly going over the plan for the community survey. We relaunched the survey back in 2021. It is a biennium survey, so every 2 years. It is to benchmark how our departments are doing, not only on progress year after year, but also across other cities and nationally on focus on services, operations, feelings and attitudes towards city services, and then a special section that is specifically about policy topics that council would like to explore. Last community survey, so back in 2021, we had a statistically valid survey, but we also offered an open survey that was an opt-in. In total, we had over 1,000 respondents. So the statistically valid one is the one that is the report. What was wonderful about having the opt-in survey, it really validated what we heard from the sample size as well as those who wanted to give their feedback. If you were able to review the executive summary attached to the council report, we got great feedback on how city services are being perceived by the community, as well as where should the emphasis be for council goals moving forward. With that, last year, I keep saying last year, last cycle, so 2021 survey, we had 3 policy questions that were geared to council's upcoming council goals, and those were related to whether we should pursue a street maintenance fee increase. That was number 1. Number 2 was expanding the community support for expanding library services, amenities, and facilities. And then the third question we had included was about emergency preparedness and the community's feelings towards their readiness in case of an emergency. It was on the heels of 2020, so it was very appropriate as well. Based off of the feedback we got from the community survey back in 2021, we were able to increase street maintenance fee, which resulted in more pathways projects for future funding. We were able to use that data to understand where we're funding or services gaps, not only with pathways, but also feelings towards access to services on the west side and things like that. We also launched the library visioning process based off of the community feedback to support the expanding library services and understanding what that meant, really. So 2021 had great results. We had great participation. We were able to make council decisions. We were able to make department decisions based off of the data found. So we are getting ready to do it again for fall 2023. And the goal is to have it launch in October. We will have then the data set ready for review by the end of the year with a presentation to council in advance of goal setting for January. This is also something we've been talking about not only for the exec team to be able to make department goals as well, and then maybe the opportunity to share with boards and commissions as well, so that we're all understanding community feedback and priorities. So with that, for 2023, the hope is to get council direction today for what those 3 policy questions will be. This year, we do need to cut the survey back at least a little bit. It ran about 15 minutes. The goal is to have it at least 12 minutes is kind of the sweet spot. So I am working with departments to cut back some of the areas, but I think for the council goals, our goal is to keep it to 3. That was a good sweet spot for the survey as well. So with that, it would be something that was talked about previously at the last city council was to use some of those policy questions for library. I was hoping to get direction if that was something you wanted to continue to use those policy questions for, if there's other topics you would like feedback on, anything direction-wise to narrow down those 3 topics. Okay. And they could all be the same or they can be different.
Okay, we were going to talk about this. Okay, Councilor Raff.
You went right to where I was going. So I think based on last meeting, I think it's really important for us to tease the desire of our community of bonding, and maybe not necessarily specific to the library, but everybody has wants and their needs and their wants. And so I think it could be helpful for us to kind of get a sense from the community on the temperature on bonding for large capital projects or a large capital project. Just a thought.
Okay.
If we, I mean, because we're going to get it in January, right? So then it's pretty quick temperature gauge for us.
Guess the answer to that one.
True, but also getting that community engagement and feedback would help us and give us either support or not support and help us kind of move forward.
In general.
In general. And again, not specific to the library, but specifically to what I'm anticipating my neighbors from Blue Heron, street projects, larger street projects, capital projects, et cetera. It'd be good to know kind of what the community feels like. So.
Okay. I was thinking about, how, two things. One, how people feel like tied to the community. It's like so different now. Like, are people, as well as a member of the city council, like I feel very connected through the community, through the city itself as an organization. But I wonder, do people feel really connected through their neighborhood association, through social media, through the school district, like through their church? Yeah, like what ties them to like the community when they think, is it maybe just to the people that live around them, through no organization in particular? I don't know, because we're always trying to figure out how to better connect with the community. It's like, so how do they feel connected, and then we'd have to tease that out.
Sure, give us some direction on how we best.
Yeah, exactly.
Is hello the best way? Who knows? But
yeah. We love the hello. And then the other one, the Assistant City Manager Phelan brought up at one of our meetings the other day, is around our efforts to create a more welcoming community. We've done all these, the cultural events, much more broad outreach on projects. And so we weren't quite sure how we'd phrase the question, but do people, feel more, or just not more, but welcome, do they feel at home, sense of belonging, something along those lines. Oh, did you have? Okay. Support that one too? Yes. Okay. So maybe those are the three bonds. Oh, Councilor, I'm so sorry.
I've got 12.
We did that in 2021.
So one of the questions I have is, in the general survey, I would be more interested, instead of maybe adding questions, I mean, I'm fine with the questions you're being asked, but the same types of questions to reach the same sort of categories and the answers, so that we have a benchmark to say, hey, how are we doing on some of these things? Are we improving or not improving? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I'm going to answer it, but please let me know if this is not what your question is. So as a part of the survey, we do have it's about 7 pages are all department specific, and then communications, engagement, city leadership, I think is the other category. And those questions will stay almost the exact same as 2021. So we will be basing not only our benchmark across other cities in the region and nation, but also how we did 2 years ago on those same questions. When I said we might be tweaking a few of them, some of them needed a little bit more clarity. So for example, in the public safety, it said preventative programming. We realized that doesn't really mean anything for people. So we were going to say wildfire preventative programming, or risk assessment being wildfire CPR, and more clarifying those questions. But generally they should be staying the same unless we are cutting it for space. Did that answer? So we will have the baseline, and these are the additional that we are, as a touch point to the context of today, is really how these policy questions should be approached.
Right. Okay, good. No, I'm good with that. To Councilor Reps, I would love to have that temperature of whether we would have community support for additional bonds, which means, and I think it needs to be very specific about how bonds are financed. So are people willing to pay more to have a new library? I'd almost directly ask the library question myself, because I think we need to find out if they're willing to have their property taxes increased. I mean, I think that's from my point of view, and I think there's no better way to get it than in a major survey like this. that's scientifically based. So anyway.
Okay. Okay, library specific.
I don't mind it being library specific at all. Or Councilor Wendland, my feeling on making it a little more generic is by talking about large capital project, bonding for large capital projects, you know, my intention is to encompass all the requests we get or we've gotten in the last at least year of Lusher Farms, you know, taking care of Lusher Farms, more parks or less parks, and all the, more, better, drainage and things like that, that we don't have necessarily the money for. You know, we get a lot of requests for large capital projects. So I'm just wondering, I think, your point about making it getting people to understand what bonding actually means is really smart. But I think just like making it generic, I think might help us just take the temperature at a larger scale. I don't know. I'm willing to go both,
Okay.
I think if we're too generic, I think people often won't know what to make of it, and you might say no, versus if you know what the money's going for, you might be like, oh, I can support that. So I think having it specific
I'm
is
fine with that. Cool.
better.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, thank you. I know Councilor Vernick has to. It's gonna. Okay. Okay.
And then the last
Oh, yes.
part,
Sorry, Councilor.
on the, do we need to start talking about foothills yet or not?
The urban renewal area?
Yeah, like would that be an appropriate topic to bring up, or is this still too early? Do you think maybe the next survey would be the better time?
So I think if you're going to be doing a survey in 2025, that would be a really great time to do it. Because if you proceed with the wastewater, project, that would start construction in 2024, won't finish construction until 2027. So if you ask the question in 2025, you'll probably still have lots of good information. I also would guess you're going to have a very focused and targeted outreach effort, and probably pretty extensive outreach effort about the Foothills plan when we get there. So it actually might tie together really well, if I'm making sense. You'd have a specific outreach plan specific to the Foothills plan, and then the opportunity to ask the community at large what they think about those ideas in the 2025 survey.
No, I agree. I just didn't know timing wise what would be helpful. So I agree. Put it off for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, it's a good topic. Okay. Okay. So Ms. Stacy, did you feel good? Okay. And we can, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Great ideas, great comments. Thank you. Okay. Folks, thank you very much for your patience waiting. I understand many of you are Councilor Raff's neighbors, which is great. And we appreciate you allowing us to get through that meeting with Councilor Vernick. Okay, so we're going to have public comment. We are glad that for all of you that are here. If you haven't been here for public comment before, just let me give you a brief rundown. When you come up, if you could just please state your first and last name, and then you'll have 3 minutes for the comment. We have a little timer on the desk there that counts down the 3 minutes. Thank you for respecting that, and that's all there is to it. You don't have to give your address, just state your name. We have your address on the card. If you would like to speak and have not filled out one of these white pieces of paper, they are on the back, and feel free to still do so. Okay, so first up is Anastasia Rose. Good afternoon, Ms. Rose.
Thank you for having us. I did have a PowerPoint. I was told I'm not supposed to use it, but I was thinking picture words, 1,000 words, but unfortunately I cannot use it.
We'll take the 1,000 words.
Yeah, City of Lake Oswego mission is to keep city roads overall in a good condition. And residents of our street are paying the highest property taxes because half of the street is on a lake. And we also pay maintenance fees for the city street maintenance. And our road is connected to South Shore Road. I just wanted to show you the map. I cannot do it. We have about 33 households. And technically it's dead-end street, but other residents will tell you about that. We have heavy use by residents, delivery truck, maintenance trucks. Many residents use this road for daily walks, accessing lake easements and taking school buses. We have original waste water management system, which has not been replaced. Our street is very narrow with a lot of blind corners. Delivery trucks unable to turn around. They have to back all the way back down. We have huge trees during storms. Our electrical system sometimes shuts down because of the power outages. And we have no sidewalks or ramps for people with disabilities. We don't have enough lights on the street as well. Our roads have not been paved for the last 50 years. We have a lot of potholes. It's impossible to drive. It's very dangerous to walk. I tripped even today on my walk. We also, a lot of us have easement access, and when we try to get to the easement, we have to run for our life because we have a sidewalk which is crossed with a metal railing, and there is no side shoulders to drive, and it's very sharp turn. So nobody can see us when we're crossing the street. So it's a huge safety issue. When I bought my house on Blue Heron Road, I lived on Lake Oswego for 25 years. I decided to write a city because all my neighbors told it's impossible to fix anything because you will get an answer that it's not going to get fixed. I decided I'm going to do it. In 2020, the Blue Heron Road, when I wrote a letter, they said rehabilitation and drainage improvement project is funded, and construction will likely start in 2024. This year, I just wanted to make sure that it's going to happen, so I looked at your documents. I saw absolutely nothing on the schedule. So I emailed again. My answer was, so the answer I received, the city has a large-scale project planned that will address the failing pavement and include complete stormwater system to provide a major drainage upgrade. Unfortunately, the project is still a few years away. From the history I know from the other people, it has been put away every single time, and we worry our residents that it's going to get delayed again. So my personal request, other people might have different opinions, we just need to replace a pavement on our road. I would like to add a crosswalk over the south shore to remove the railing so we can safely cross, and maybe some kind of light to see that we are coming. And also add some street lights on the Blue Heron Road because it's completely dark, and half of the year when school is in action, our kids going on the street and there is no lights, and the pavement is horrible. You will trip.
Ms. Rose, can you bring it to a close? I'm so sorry, you've gone over your time.
So I'm done.
Okay, thank you very much. And if you have any, you can always email us too if you had more to say. Yeah, we love that. Okay, thank you so much. Meg Godfrey? Good afternoon, ma'am.
My name is Meg Godfrey. Thank you, first of all, for all your time, and I value all the time you put into our wonderful city. I'm here today to talk about the street I live on, which I love, Blue Heron Road. We closed on our home in January of 2020, but before we signed the closing documents, I actually emailed the city because I saw what rough condition our road was in, and I was told at the time that it would be repaired during 2022-2023 years. Well, it has come and gone, and now we know that it's maybe 25 to 27. And I feel like sometimes you have to raise the flags and say, we better bring attention to this, because if we keep waiting, it might never happen. So we're here today as a team to really tell the city that we feel that we deserve to have our road repaired. Currently, it is very unsafe. If my parents were visiting from northern Michigan in their 80s, I can't even have them walk down Blue Heron Road. It's that dangerous. I don't feel like we're asking a lot. I feel that we're asking for a safe road for kids to learn how to bike, be able to run, walk your dog without in fear of tripping. It's currently not safe. And what Anna said about the street crossing South Shore, it is so dangerous. We literally run either on the narrow side of the bridge, on the south end side of South Shore to get across before a car comes, or we have to zigzag across Blue Heron. And it really is dangerous, especially if you think of the kids, the middle school kids who are traveling from Blue Heron to Lake Ridge Middle. Luckily, we have a neighbor who created a private sidewalk for kids to cross that way so they can safely get to Lake Ridge Middle School, or to even, if you're heading that, even if you want to go to the swim park, we encourage our kids, do not cross South Shore. You need to go down Blue Heron, go to Roger's house, go down his private path that we've introduced and said, our kids do this, and he's so nice to have that path for us so they can safely go down to Keelat, Cardinal, in that direction to South Shore. So I appreciate your time. I hope that us being here will make a difference. And I have a petition. Not everybody could be here, but we have a lot of signatures from the folks on our street. Could I give that to you? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Godfrey. All right, next is Megan Patton. Hi, Ms. Patton. Good afternoon.
Hello, my name is Megan Patton, and I am fortunate to live on Blue Heron Road. I actually am lucky that I am the first house on Blue Heron Road, so I don't have to navigate much of the rocky, bumpy, awful road. But what I do experience is I have had my mailbox taken out twice. It's extremely narrow. I'm not sure how that can be addressed. But I also, part of my front yard is actually considered in the public right-of-way. I had a retaining wall person come out to help me because literally from Blue Heron Road, you can land on my roof. There is nothing keeping any cars from driving off of Blue Heron Road right onto what would be my daughter's bedroom. And I have priced out retaining walls, problem being I've been told by the city I could pay to do that it's not my property, and at any point the city's going to come through and fix the road. Well, I was told the city was going to come through and fix the road 11 years ago, and that's why when we did our remodel, we didn't fix the wall. Well, I'm still staring at a bunch of rocks, a lot of weeds, and anybody that tries to park in the little narrow strip by my house has maybe 2 inches from their car going over and literally landing on the roof of my daughter's bedroom. So it's completely unsafe. It's a bad pavement, but there also, I believe, needs to be addressed the different areas that are considered city property, but somehow I'm going to end up with a car on my roof. I believe my neighbor can tell you she's seen it happen twice before I lived there. So it used to be a garage. It's now a bedroom, so it's a little bit more concerning. But yes, I would encourage you to come take a walk on Blue Heron Road and take your life in your own hands.
Yes. Well, let's hope none of your neighbors driving down the road drive onto your roof. Everyone, do not drive onto her roof. Okay, a FedEx truck. Well, let's hope not. Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Roger Smith. Roger. Good afternoon, Mr. Smith.
My name is Roger Smith. I live in the last house on Blue Heron Road, so I have the full benefit of all the chuck holes for the whole length of the road every day. It is not the first time I've been to the city council meeting to discuss Blue Heron Road, and I've had all kinds of promises over the years, but nothing seems to ever happen. I've lived there now for 63 years. When we moved there and bought the property, originally it was a county road, and the city says, I don't have to fix it, and I'm not going to fix it, it belongs to the county. Then maybe 10 years later, the city did take the road over and said, well, we'll take care of it. We've had a few potholes plugged up. We had a police chief that moved on a road, and immediately they patched the potholes all the way to his house. But they didn't patch it to my house, and I've lived there a lot longer, and he's moved on and doesn't live there any longer. We need some help. We don't need it 4 or 5 or 6 more years away. We've waited a long time. 63 years, and you have never repaved the road. The only thing you've done is utility cuts and sewers, patched them over, and made the road worse. We think we deserve some consideration. We're taxpayers like everybody else, and we paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in property tax, and we need some relief for a change. and not somebody saying, well, it's going to happen 4 or 5 or 6 years away. I think we've waited long enough. 63 years that I've seen it, and it wasn't in good shape when we bought the property a few years before that. So that's my comment, and we'd like some help. And we think the city is in a position to help us if you so choose to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Susan Wellens?
Hi.
Good afternoon, Ms. Waltz.
My name is Susan Wellens, and I am a resident on Blue Heron Road. And backing up everything everyone's saying, I was born and raised on Alder Circle, so I have a house there. I also have, I'm on third house up on Blue Heron, and I also a house on Blue Heron Drive. So the first thing is safety issues. I have had person stay at my house and was walking to see a friend and come home and was almost hit by a car and in a hospital with a broken shoulder because the curve that comes down South Shore, if you look at how many times that guardrail's been hit, I'm the one usually calling 911 and running down there. Someone ended up in the hospital, and if he hadn't been 2 steps back, he would be dead. So that's just one instance. I also know that everyone that's talking about access to the Blue Heron easement or Alder Circle easement, or even the city pathway that was built, never considered that the Blue Heron Road is not just a dead-end road. It is an actual access for all the communities with Westridge, Cedar Road, Key Lock, most of the Blue Heron area, and even up in Westview, people come down to go to those easements. They have to cross a road that you cannot see either way. Simple solutions. Paint some crosswalks where the access is. Put a flashing light up. Fix the guardrail on the bridge. That's not a big ticket item. And when you do the sewer project, the entrance is probably the worst place of that road, and I'm right at the very peak of it. I've had to cut back foliage so that people can get by and not have a single road. But really the safety issues, I see people walking. It's a Blue Heron loop. Thank you, Roger, for sure. I've actually, I've seen this road since I was a little kid, and nothing has happened. And it has always been nerve-wracking to cross that bridge. And then when the new path was built, and then there was no access, that was even worse. So right now you have more traffic, you have a bigger community using this road as an access, and we've been waiting. So I don't know why a project that's been funded keeps being pushed away, as I understand it. So I would say in Roger's 63 years and my 67 years, it is about time. And the only improvements that have been made are what people have had to do to keep water going into their driveways or to be able to even park. So I think the solutions are the lighting. I don't think that's expensive. We have poles that you can put lights on. Drainage is an issue, and the trees that I have that are undercut, those are the trees that are going to fall on our houses because the hillside is moving. I think cleaning up the side rail, putting stripes on the road, putting signage, even that there's a pedestrian sign.
Thank you, Ms.
Would
Wellens.
help.
Thank you very much.
And I hope you do something. Oh, and the street maintenance fee increase for pathways, let's apply it to the road.
Thank you, Ms. Wellens.
Thank you.
Okay, Susan Spear, you are next. Good afternoon, Ms. Spear.
Council members. My name is Susan Spear. I'm a resident to Blue Heron Road for the past 3 years, thinking that at some point the road would get fixed. I see nothing but road construction everywhere I go throughout Lake Oswego, constantly, particularly on Bryant Road and on Lower Boones Ferry Road, but nothing is happening on Blue Heron Road. It's a clear and present danger to life and limb. The potholes are enormous. It's very dangerous to walk on Blue and Heron Road. It's very dangerous to your vehicle, getting damaged, going over those potholes. A lot of the corners that you turn to get down to, down the way on Blue Heron Road, including to our house, is blocked because there's a turn and there's hedges and you cannot see oncoming vehicles. So you're taking your life in your hands by driving down that road. You have to go so slow and be so careful. Another car comes, you've got to pull over into someone else's yard in order to get that car to pass or for you to pass. So it's just a matter of time before someone is injured or killed as a result of the condition of this road. It's also an economic issue. People say, well, why don't you just go ahead and move? Well, we tried that. We put our house up for sale. We cannot get a fair market value for our home because nobody wants to live in our house with this road, where there's no parking and the road is in terrible condition. It is an eyesore as well as a clear danger. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Spear. And now Bryce Potter. You're the final speaker, Mr. Potter. Good afternoon.
My name is Bryce Potter, and I thank you for your time. I'm one of the old boys. My parents moved on to Blue Heron in 1957. We built 3 or 4 houses, and because we built that, we had to put in a paved road, curbs, and a sewer down to Blue Heron that was going to be fixed in 1957. Nothing has happened. My wife and I bought a house in 1980. Nothing has been done to that road since 1957. And there is no maintenance, and yet we're charged monthly for maintenance. And we pay our taxes that are quite high for no work. And I think it's an obligation of this council to fix that road. You've heard of everybody else, but we are totally ignored, and it's a disgrace to this community. People come to our house and say, what is wrong with your road? And what do we say? There's nothing to say. So you need to fix it. That's all I can say.
Did you
Thank
grow
you
up
for
on
your
the
time.
Did you grow up on the Potter's Road? Oh, Mr. Potter. Mr. Potter. He's a. Did you? I see there is a Potter's Road. The Potter's Road.
Yes.
That's named for your family.
Yes. My dad said if I have to buy it, I'm going to name it.
So you grew up at the end, and then you moved
In
across.
57, and then we moved back.
Wow. Oh, that's great. What a history on Blue Heron. So many of you. Well, thank you.
So it's a long time with no care.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming. So I do, I thank you all for being here. I pulled up our CIP and I see we have this Blue Heron Road rehabilitation and drainage. There's 4 projects in the street fund, in the funded columns. So that's not that many projects. So to be one of them is a good sign for starters, because the list is very long. And I see that project funded for 25, 26, 26, 27. What I'm hearing from a lot of those, you've been told over the years, well, it's going to be funded these years, and then it gets pushed out, pushed out, pushed out. So I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but are we sure about this funding that's in this CIP?
Well, you remember that the CIP is adopted by the Budget Committee and Council every other year. And you remember that last budget year, the direction was reduce funding for the street fund to fund the park projects. And so I think that the challenge of responding to these neighbors is, if all things are equal, yes, of course it's going to proceed. But I would urge them to pay attention in the spring of 2025 to the city's. I don't mean to say something funny. The priorities are set by the Budget Committee and the Council during the budget process. So that's when the decisions are made about what gets in the funded column and what moves to the unfunded column. This one, as you say, Your Honor, is funded. So that's the good news, because we have tens of millions of dollars of street projects that are unfunded. So I guess what I would say is, yes, it was slid back because there are other capital projects that the council and budget committee decided to advance instead of this project.
Right. But it's great that you all came here because we understand the importance. Honestly, this is the first I've heard of anything about Blue Heron. So it's good to have the awareness of why the project is on the list. Like City Manager said, there's nothing we can do to just switch it around up here on the dais. That's not going to happen, but it is in terms of the timing, because obviously there's practical matters here in terms of the projects that are already underway and whatnot. So it's kind of where it is. But you've got to, as she said, pay attention, because during the budget process is really when you want to come and say, hey, we want to make sure this project gets funded. Your neighbors in Evergreen, or our neighbors in Evergreen, did the same thing this year with the drainage project that they wanted to have done, and they, made sure that it was funded. And so you all are doing the right thing by being here, because it brings the awareness. But Councilor Rapp.
Well, I feel I need to say something. Thank you for my neighbors coming and advocating on behalf of our neighborhood and advocating on behalf of me as well, because I have little kids, and I have had kids that had to wait at the bus stop at the end of the street, and then the school district moved the bus stop from the end of our street to the end of Cedar. That became an issue because I'm not letting my kids walk across the bridge, right? So, and as like you all, when we moved in 2018, when's the street gonna, the same questions. My recommendations, and what I've told some of you in the past, is this is not just a normal street paving project. I personally have taken upon myself to talk to our engineering department, and brought them out to the street. Hey, what is it going to take to do this? And the reality is, it's not just a normal street paving. There is a narrowness to our street that is unmistakable. And what they've explained to me is there's a significant, the reason they've allocated, I counted at least $2.4 million for our small little street, is because the engineering feat to get both sides paved while still allowing transportate people in and out of the street is really challenging. Not to mention, I think a couple of you brought up city easements and the issue of, are they going to have to make the street wider to accommodate drainage, et cetera. So it's not the easiest project that I've discovered. As long as I'm here, I'll continue to push for this. It's not easy, but what you're doing today is personally what I wish you would have done a couple of years ago. Advocacy, okay? Learn, the pickleball thing was a great example of, if you want something done, you gotta be loud and annoying about it. This is a great step in the right direction. So continue to bother us with your emails, coming to city council, taking the time to talk to us like this. That does a lot. And while unfortunately it's not budgeted till 2025, to keep it from getting pushed for other projects, so if a large amount of people come out and advocate for parks and no one comes out and advocates for streets, the city just does what the largest group of people talk about. So advocacy is king here. So continue to be involved. Don't let this be a one-time thing where you come to city council and write us. So I will continue to push this as long as I can, but I really appreciate you guys coming.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all. All right.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, Councilor Wendland, yes.
To Councilor Rapp's comments, I agree. And with Mayor Buck, it is a process. But I guess I have a question for our city manager that not answered today, but how could we have a street not taken care of for 66 years? That's my fundamental question. If the priorities are such that we're not getting our streets done over half of a century, I think we have a systemic issue of funding. Yes, we did make a decision the last couple of years on some different priorities, but I would, I guess, say that if something's going to be at a failure rate, it probably should have brought been brought up even before you were city manager,
Oh,
probably 10 years ago.
yeah, I'm not even 67 years old yet, so.
That's correct. So I'm not pointing the finger at anyone, but I'm asking systemically, do we have other issues in town along with this one that we have neglected or that we, need to take care of? Because I will say we just talked about it earlier on the library bond. If we have issues out there that we need to solve, if they're just going to get worse and worse and worse, they just get more and more costly to fix them. So it may be.
All we need is more money.
Yeah, so we can do some research on the specifics of Blue Heron. I think the neighbors have probably told you the true story, which was it originally was a county road, probably not ever built to any kind of urban standards with any kind of urban infrastructure. And there's substantial right-of-way challenges out there. I would tell you that, you all know this because you see the capital improvement plan. We have tens of millions of dollars of unfunded road projects for other streets that are similar to this one. You've heard from folks who've had to install sewer about the cost of bringing roads up to urban conditions. You know about North Shore between where Cabana Lane comes in and when it hits Middlecrest or State Street. I mean, I think you would find that all over town there's streets like this. And at some point, a council in the past made a decision that these ones that really require a lot of infrastructure underneath or that only, and I know when I say this, I'm going to also be provocative to the neighborhood that only have 33 homes on it. So probably carry somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 to 300 trips a day or a lower priority than the streets in town that carry 800 or 1,000 or 2,000 trips a day. So at some point, somebody had to prioritize the investments. And the other thing I think Director Rooney said to all of you when she came and talked about the pavement condition a few years ago is once a street has completely failed like this one, it actually doesn't get more expensive. And so those streets naturally end up falling to the bottom because the streets where we can make a small investment today that we can save for 20 years become a sort of a way to stretch your limited street dollar further. So like I said, I can give you the specifics and I'll ask Director Rooney to come back with those specifics, but I do think it's very likely that you have quite a few streets in the community that are similar to this one in terms of streets that have been.
No, this is the public access.
Folks.
Streets that have been neglected for an extremely long period of time because they were built at a rural standard and require a significant reinvestment to be brought up to standards. I know everybody who lives on a street feels their street, and their streets are unique, but from a policy perspective, I'm sure that you've made this decision in other streets that are similar to Blue Heron.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Thanks, City Manager. So we'll keep working on it, everybody. I promise you. We'll keep pushing to see if there's a way to get it earlier. Can't guarantee anything, but I will say to the council and city manager and Mrs. Rooney, our engineering director, to me, and yes, I'm biased, Blue Heron Road is no different than our friends on Fifth Avenue. I think it was Fifth Avenue where they had flooding, and we found a way to make that happen. I'm not saying it was the same price tag, but let's see if there are ways that we can, if we have to wait 2 years, let's see if there's some things we can do in the meantime to ameliorate the issues we're seeing. Maybe there's some easy wins, quicker wins, but let's try to keep moving the ball forward. That's all I'm asking.
Okay,
Thank you.
Councilor. Okay, all right, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay, information from council. Does anyone have anything to share? Councilor Woodland? No? Okay. Well, tonight is National Night Out. I don't know if anyone's participating, but we have a record number of neighborhood parties taking place. Yeah, record, I don't know, maybe 50? Over 40. Large number. So thanks to the fire department, police department, city manager's office, and our Kincaid intern, who did a great job piecing everything together, and for being out there tonight with the neighbors. This was a great opportunity, people to get together and interact with the city. Officers, Ms. Bennett, Osnick, okay. All right, with that, we are adjourned. I hope everyone, the council will be on recess for the rest of August. We'll be back in September. Have a great summer. Thank you, everyone.